And the people are like, well, why would owners take that deal? Why wouldn't they just say cash or nothing, right? And the reason why is because
I
yeah,
mean,
and unless you're a certain size as well, private equity won't buy you, right? Like if you're less than $1 million of profit, most private
mhm.
equity need to be buying businesses that have at least $1 million a year of profit. That's kind of a scary thought to me. So I'm just stacking beans until I feel there's enough. That's basically it. It's that simple, honestly.
Thank you very much, Glenn, for coming to my podcast, Business Breakthroughs. Welcome from the USA, which is good. It's my privilege to have another guest from USA. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, about what is it you do, so we can get to know you a little bit more?
Sure. Yeah. So I run a business. I bought a business in Florida. I had a business in Canada, which I ran for 15 years, and I sold it in 2022. And I worked for the private equity for almost 3 years. And at the end of that, I wasn't ready to put hang up my shingle yet. So I bought a business in Florida, which allowed me to move to the U.S. I split my time between Canada and the U.S. now, but my day job's in Orlando, and the businesses that I run, this is my third one, are distributors of high tech electronic instruments. So we sell in my past two companies, they were mainly in the telecom space. So
Mhm.
selling infrastructure equipment into the mobile wireless, into the cellular industry, test equipment, things like that to build the network. And I've made a shift, 180-degree shift now. I'm not in telecom anymore. I'm in the power industry, and I'm targeting substation power generation, powers for data centers, and the expanding and exploding market for power for that's driving the new AI, adoption and the incredible need for power. And I see that as having a lot more upside for me than telecom. So I made a shift, but my business is buying and selling equipment from around the world and selling it to customers in my territory. And now I'm working in the U.S. So my territory are utilities in the United States.
Mhm. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for sharing. And you
Yeah.
mentioned about the AI, right? So how that plays into that power industry with the tools what you are selling, like how this plays together for these.
So I've done some so there's two aspects. One, I've been doing a little bit of consulting because I was changing role, I sold my business, trying to figure out what I was going to do. I've also been
Mhm.
working a little bit more on my pet project, my passion side project, side hustle, trying to consult and help companies adapt and adopt AI. And
Mhm.
it's a little bit different than my day job. My day job, I bought a company that's been in business 20 years, and I came on and I'm running it. And the AI is a bit of a startup, but I'm helping companies to use AI in their sales department, and but I'm also using it in my new business as well, right? And so the main areas that I use AI are to flush out and look for opportunities for more projects to bid on, using AI data mining models that go out to the government bid boards and other kinds of places where you can find opportunities to quote on. And the difference
Mhm.
is that before you had to do it manually, right? You have to set up search parameters. You have to look every day and say, hey, oh, do I want to? But using AI now, I've developed a model that I use that looks at all my past history of everything I've ever done and tries to find me projects that I might not think of. And so I can get more projects to bid on. And then a secondary use is that I've developed a model to help me to bid, to write the RFPs, the requests for proposals, the tenders, the whatever you want to call them. But responding to
Mhm.
documents for large projects is very time consuming, but it's very
Mhm.
repetitive as well. And so I've been
Yeah.
using AI to help automate the as much of that as possible. So I only have to
Mhm.
focus on the custom aspect of each bid. So I get more, as I like to say, I get more up at bats,
Mhm.
more chance to hit the ball, and I can hit the ball faster by using AI to respond quicker. Otherwise, I wouldn't have enough time to respond to these RFPs. There's just not enough hours in the day, right? And
Mhm.
Yeah, and so those are the main areas that I use AI, in a legitimate and sort of, repetitive habit. In addition to using it in my marketing and I also use it for managing the contracts with my suppliers and my customers. I get very long. These utilities have large contract documents. They're 80 pages long, and it's very hard to read them and find all the fine print, and I found AI to be extremely useful in flushing out all the points I need to look for, and respond to when replying to large proposals and contracts that I've won.
And when it comes to the tools that you mentioned at the beginning, you are using to speed up the process with the tenders and the other things. Have you kind of used some generative AI and you build on that yourself, or you are using
Yeah.
some not
It's
you
a
you did it
custom agentic model that I've been developing, and I got a programmer to help me with. And I'm not super, I'm somewhat geeky, but I'm not quite that geeky. And so I have a guy that's been helping me to develop it and hone it, right? So it's kind of a proprietary
Mhm.
solution, and
And what is it
I'm
powered?
using.
What is it
Pardon
powered
me.
on? Which kind of an engine?
Can you repeat
Because
that?
there will
Sorry.
be what kind of an engine is powered on? Because usually it's people use either like OpenAI or Grok or Gemini. Like which one is it powered on, or is it combination?
Oh, okay, okay. So, it's OpenAI is the main GPT backbone of what I'm using,
Mhm.
but there's some programming in C and stuff that goes on in the background as
Yeah, yeah.
well. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, okay, good, good, good. Perfect. I'm just curious because obviously AI, I'm definitely a lot interested in AI. I use it every day as well. So I'm always trying to figure it out what people do differently, seeing and obviously you have figured out quite a
Yeah.
good way for you to do all this. That's perfect. What I'm also interested to know, if you wouldn't mind to share, you mentioned that you had the business for many years and you sold it in 2022. And can you tell, because I have a lot of people, I'm into M&As myself, and there are people asking me like, okay, but how to find the person who wants to sell a business? Because many businesses are not for sale online because they don't want employees to know. And then they need to go behind the scenes and suddenly it's change the owners. So what kind of a stage you were, how when you decided to sell the business, like if somebody approached you, like if you are looking from the other side, like how to
So,
recognize business owner would consider selling, or how to know?
yeah, and so if so there is some great sites like bizbuysell.com, and there's some other ones like that have a large set of brokers post kind of like a real estate site, right? But it's not for real estate, it's for businesses, and there's two or three of them out there. BizBuySell is a tool I use a lot, but the best way to find a business to buy is to figure out the kind of the space you want to be in, and look for the oldest owner and call him up and ask him what he's going to do with his business, because oftentimes a lot of people are ready to sell their companies and they don't know how to get out, right? And so, kind of like knocking on doors is a in your own space, and a lot of times people talk about like buying laundromats and things like that, right? So you literally like you canvass all the laundromats in 20-mile radius of your home and ask if any of these owners want to sell, right? I'm in the small electronic distributor space, and they're fairly easy to identify, on just using Google, and now of course AI is even better at finding these for you. And then you'd be surprised how many of the owners are looking for opportunities to sell, right? But usually if it's your business and you're trying to sell your own company, once you've been in business a few years, brokers start calling you, just like I'm suggesting, and they're saying, "Hey, are you ready to sell yet? You've been around 4 years." They want to get a look at your books. They want to see what your numbers are, and and from that point forward, once those people start knocking, they kind of knock continuously until you finally sell your business down the road. And the
Mhm.
magic time when it happens is, they basically want to see your last 3 years numbers, and they're going to multiply by a multiple. Typically in the small business world, it's around three and a half to five and a half, whatever your
Mhm.
profits are. And so, if your profits are $1 million a year and you want to sell for $3.5 to $5.5 million, then you're ready to sell. If you want 10 million, you got to wait till you grow your profits to 2 million, right? And so it just becomes a game of mathematics and a 3 year run of 3 good years, your best 3 years, right? You got to stack them in a row. And
Yeah.
um, and so, that's the way I found the business that I bought in Florida was sort of by reaching out to some companies that were in a similar business to what I had in Canada, but in a different
Mhm.
industry, right? And one of the owners was in his 70s. He wanted to sell, and so I bought the business from him.
And would you buy it like outright? Here's the cash, or using the loan, or whatever, or would you negotiate some kind of a seller finance, do it over the period of terms? Because a lot of
Yeah,
sellers,
most small businesses don't sell for, like, when private equity's involved, they have huge amounts of money. They load you up with debt, and it's kind of like you get a check. There's a earn out for maybe 10% or 20%, but it's kind of like 80% up front. But in the small business world, it's usually quite different. You're usually putting, somewhere in the 10 to 25% down. You may be borrowing a little bit from the bank, and then the seller financing is kind of for a number of years, sort of financing their way out of the business. And
yeah.
yeah, and most of the deals that I've been aware of, that's kind of the way they work. So you're kind of coming
Mhm.
up with the down payment, you're getting the owner to take
Plus,
back a loan, and
also,
you might be
also it
borrowing
has
a
a benefits for the owners as well, right? Because if they get all the money in 1 year, so the tax will be huge. But if it's spread into
right.
multiple years, so it's also beneficial for them. I bought a
And you
business
also
like that.
keep them tied to the business so that your
Yeah,
success is better, right?
yeah.
Because these businesses don't usually transfer in a few months. They take quite a while to transfer over the intellectual property and the value of the business, right?
You have someone to help you as well
Yeah,
for a while. Yeah, it was. I was always thinking about it because I bought a cafe years ago, just before the COVID, not the good timing.
yeah,
So then I sold it, lost money. But I bought it the same way. It was all seller finance, 100%. And I agreed with her on the term of 2 years to be paying it. It was a small cafe. And then that was our deal. And it was very good. And then when I offered that obviously to multiple cafes. It wasn't the first to say yes, but the other people, they didn't want it. They were like, no, I don't want it. I'm like, yeah, but you are making that much money, what you are showing me here. So you can see that I can afford you pay monthly this amount for the next 2, 3 years. So why wouldn't you, right? Because it's also good for your taxes. So in my mind is,
yeah,
if the seller finance, they don't want to do it in a period of years, unless they have like some big kind of thing, like they need money for something huge right away. So then something kind of smells off on the numbers which they provided. So it
yeah,
kind of actually scares me more than if they are willing to do so.
absolutely. Yeah, and that's right. And in addition to the financing, there's also oftentimes earnouts as well. So not only is the number
Mhm.
is the number over time, but it's also can change if the business doesn't produce what they promised it would. And they
Mhm.
might get a bonus if it produces more, but they kind of take a little bit of a hit if it produces less, right? So, if they say, "Oh, next year we're going to have a huge year and we're going to, instead of doing 3 million, we're going to do 5 million or 8 million dollars." And you're like, "Okay, fine. Like, I'll give you X amount if you do 8 million, but if you still do 3 million again next year, in revenue, then you're not going to get that big hit, right?" And so and that's part of the earnout, right? So there's usually a down payment, there's a warranty of 10 to 15%, which they usually get after 3 to 6 months. The warranty is that they didn't lie on any of the taxes or any of that. And then there's the earnout, which is a certain percentage as well of the promises that they made. And then there's the sort of seller financing piece of the rest of it, right? And so it's a bunch of different chunks that you end up paying the people, but it breaks it up and it allows the new owner and the people are like, well, why would owners take that deal? Why wouldn't they just say cash or nothing, right? And the reason why is because it's not like a house, right? Where you have a house. If it's a nice house, if the first buyer doesn't work out, another one's going to probably come along and buy your house, right? With a business, if your kids don't want it, who are you going to sell it to, right? Like, it's not easy to sell a business, right? There's a lot of magic involved, and so, you know, when an appropriate buyer comes along and finds an appropriate seller, it's a good thing, right? And yeah, so
Absolutely, yeah, you're right. I mean,
yeah, and unless you're a certain size as well, private equity won't buy you, right? Like if you're less than $1 million of profit, the legal fees are too much for them to buy your business normally, unless they've got a very special model that they've created that allows them to do it for a low cost. Most private
Mhm.
equity need to be buying businesses that have at least $1 million a year of profit to justify the legal fees that they have to pay to buy the
Mhm.
business, right?
And so what is the goal with the new business what you bought recently? Like, where is it you want to scale it, and you're planning to add more of these businesses together, or you want to sell it in the future? You want to, what's the
It's
goal
kind
of
of like
that?
a, yeah, it's kind of like a double-edged sword because I kind of wanted to grow it a bit, but not too much because I don't want it to be too stressful, right? And in the end, my last business was there were a lot of moving parts, and and especially after I sold it, there were a lot of people to answer to at the private equity, and it was quite stressful. So I do want to grow it for a few years and make it a bit bigger, and then hopefully I can find someone to sell it to.
Yeah.
But I'm not. It's not like imperative that I 10x the business, or I'm not sort of going all in, and I just want to have a nice
Mhm.
business that throws off. Where because this is what I've done my whole career, and so it's a very natural, kind of thing that I'm doing. And so to just continue doing it and making money before I retire, it's just a good thing to do, right? So I don't have a lot of grand aspirations, but I do want to grow it somewhat, right? And but the more you grow it, the more stress you take on, right? And also I don't want to like have to go to the bank for financing and things like that, right? I want it to whatever we do to grow organically, one step at a time. Because once you have to start applying for all the lines of credit and bank loans, and then they want you to put your house up as collateral, and then every decision you make is not only about the business, but it's about whether your family's going to get kicked out of their house if you made a mistake, right? And so I'm just trying to keep it modest, but also
Mhm.
a little exciting as well. So
Mhm. Mhm. Amazing. Also, I can see in
yeah.
here that you have written that you are an author and a speaker. So, what is it you usually would go to speak? Like as a speaker, and what do you speak about?
Yeah, so a lot of I'm not in I don't speak at like super large events. Mostly I speak for companies that
Mhm.
because I belong to a lot of networking groups like EO and PEO and tech group and things like that, and entrepreneurial cohorts. They are where you join these cohorts, and they every month or every quarter you meet, and you're with 10 or 12 entrepreneurs, and because a lot of them know me, they ask me to speak at their company on either business structure, process, sales, compensation, things like that. So I do a lot of speaking at company meetings and things like that. And
Mhm.
obviously, I do a lot of podcasts promoting the book. And those are things that I just really enjoy doing, and I love sharing the what I've learned. And with the entrepreneurs, a lot of times sometimes they'll pay me modest amounts of money and what have you, but for my time or travel. But usually I'm trading their knowledge in something else for my knowledge, right? Like they maybe the company's the owner's really smart in finance or things like that help me, and so I'm bartering my services for with other entrepreneurs, right? And it works quite well. I mean, so I'm always paying it forward, but it's always coming back to me in kind.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's I also do a lot of speaking, and it's about like a stage when you are speaking. It's authority for you, right? It's
Yeah,
good for content, and also it's really good for connections. Like even if there is already deal agreed, like
exactly.
you help the finances, but even if not, you meet people on there, and when you speak on the
That's
stage,
right.
if it's 10,
Yeah.
12 people in the room, suddenly you are authority in that room, so they are coming to
Yes.
you. It's very
Yeah.
different than you are approaching them. So That's what I
Yeah.
really like about. Yeah, I'm just heading actually to LA next week for the first
Oh,
time to US.
wow. Yeah.
I'll be speaking there in front of the biggest audience yet. I've never spoken, so it'll be
Okay.
1,500 people. So
Wow. That's
that's
big. Yeah,
yeah,
that is
yeah.
a lot.
So
Yeah.
actually in my office now, and next door is my business partner. So after this meeting, I'll be practicing my speech. Will give me feedback. We already did it a few times. Um,
Nice.
so
What's the
definitely.
topic?
So it'll be sales.
Oh,
It'll
on
be
sales.
about
Okay. Yeah.
three techniques I have learned from my coach JT Fox. It's on his event, so I want to
Awesome.
also mention him. So yeah, so it'll be good. It'll be good. Maximum I
Yeah.
spoke in front of people was like I think 90 people, and now it's
Wow.
1,500.
Yeah.
So I'll be like,
1,500. Yeah. Well, there, in my if you bring my book on the plane, you can have 57 more tips because that's what my book's about is about selling,
ah,
right? And building and growing a business and building a career in sales. And it's a
yes,
lot of tips and tricks I learned along the way over 40 years, right? That I share with
that's
that I just wanted to share with people. And yeah, and so I love talking about sales as well. So I'm sure that'll be a wonderful experience for you talking to an
yeah.
audience that big.
Yeah, sales are great. Like you mentioned, going to those companies, speaking about sales and obviously and other topics. That's what we've done recently also for a German company, help them with their sales processes and how they should, focus on that. Just yesterday came from London. There was a guy also having a company and is creating a sales process for his new team because he's actually just bought the business. And I'm like, hey,
Right.
we can come and we can help you. We can train your sales team. And then he was very happy about the connection. So people need that. Like if
Yes,
companies invest
exactly.
in something, it's like they want more sales, right? So if their people
Yeah.
can do better in there, so they are more very happy. So and I really enjoy that topic. It's cool. Yeah. Some people are like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't like selling, but like, yeah, but you don't sell.
But nothing happens until something gets sold, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You could be
exactly.
the
Yeah.
greatest engineer in the world, but you can't engineer anything unless someone's selling it on the other side, right? So someone has to get an order so the engineers and the production people have a job, right?
Mhm.
So sales is the most important department, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And a little bit of a maybe personal question, but
Yeah.
obviously you have run the business, you sold the business, now you've been in a private equity, now you have another business. So obviously doing all of that, it takes a lot of effort, a lot of energy, a big drive, big reasons why to do it. So what are your reasons why you do all of that?
Yeah, so people often laugh or sort of make fun of me when I tell them, but I'm always like if someone asks me a question, I always give them the straight answer that's the truth, right? Like I don't have like a fluffy fake answer, right? So the reason why I do it is because for some reason I've just my entire life I've had this like morbid fear of being poor. And
Mhm.
so I never wanted to be poor. And so even when I sold the business and I put some money in the bank and I invested it and and all that and I say okay, that's fine, but I'm like, oh, but what if my kids need something? I mean, I have 5 kids. I got a wife, I got a lot, maybe I need a little bit more. What if I run out? And so honestly, I do it because I just, once I'm into it, I do enjoy, the kind of business that I work in, right? And it kind of comes naturally. So it's not intellectually taxing. It's just kind of like maybe stressful here and there. But the other thing is I'm just trying to avoid being poor. And honestly, like I just want to like keep stacking it. And I mean, people are like, "Oh, well, when will enough be enough?" And I'm like, "I don't know." Like, but I got a long way to go to catch up to Elon Musk and, Bill Gates and those guys. So there's a long distance between me and them. So maybe I'll go forever. And look at Warren Buffett, the guy's 90 something or whatever. It's not like he quit. And so I just like to do it and to build the nest egg and the thought of just retiring and then living on a fixed income for whatever number of years. I'm 63, right? It could be like 30 years, right? It could be 20 years, could be 30 years.
Mhm.
That's kind of a scary thought to me. So I'm just stacking beans until I feel there's enough, That's basically it. It's that simple, honestly.
Yeah, no, that's very good. Yeah, and you mentioned you have 5 children, so obviously It's a lot. I have three so far, so
Yeah.
it's for me it's
Yeah.
a
Well, they get
big.
expensiver as time goes on. They don't get cheaper.
Yeah, I've seen it. I can see that. They are now doing more sports, now more
More
competition. We have
sports, then their school.
more. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot
Then
of
they
lot
need
of
to
the
help with their house. Then they need, it just gets more and more and more, right? Yeah.
Good, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's great. So if you wouldn't mind, I would like to, after, if you can share with me, I don't know if you already did or not, but I would like the link to that book what you wrote down. And if there
Sure.
is any way, if people would like to connect you for any reason, going to
Sure.
companies, speaking about the things you mentioned, sales and the other things. And then obviously you are in USA, so if somebody wants to connect with you, so just I
Yeah.
don't know, LinkedIn or
So
whatever you
the best, yeah. So if anyone's interested in the book, which would be wonderful, but not mandatory, but you can go to my website, which is just my name.com, glennpoulos.com. But if they want to communicate with me and collaborate or talk ideas or whatever, I'm on LinkedIn every day. So go to my profile, Glenn Poulos on LinkedIn, and I'm a top voice on LinkedIn. I'm there every day speaking on business and sales and every topic I can think of. I'm quite active and quite approachable and easy to communicate to. So anyone's welcome to reach out to me, send me a note, connect with me. Happy to do that and collaborate with people in any way possible. So LinkedIn and my website are the two main ways to get a hold of me.
perfect, yeah. So I'll also make some posts on the LinkedIn, so I'll tag it. So
Okay.
whoever is
Oh,
listening,
perfect.
when the podcast is ready, I'll obviously share it so people can see that and they can connect with you. And yeah, I'll be definitely interested to have a
Awesome.
further conversation with you
Thanks, Vincent.
in the future as well,
Yeah.
because I think there is a lot of similar topics we are interested in, like M&As
Yeah.
and sales and
Yeah.
speaking. So there's a lot of
Oh,
things which
yeah.
we both.
That would be
And
wonderful.
then
Yeah.
yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Glenn, for
Yeah.
coming for the podcast.
Yeah.
And then we'll catch up in the future.
Sounds great. Thanks so much, Vincent. Nice seeing you.